I love like the lip oil from the beauty supply store. It always hits it, hits it. Oh, just like something else. Hello, welcome to the Introvert Conversation where we're not loud but proud to be who we are and we make no excuses for it. Tonight, we're going to talk about our homework assignment that you were to greet all and every coworker in order to help with building confidence, with helping to improve your social skills, and also helping to improve on just being self aware. Because a lot of times, us introverts, we give off that we're either weird or stuck up, or we're not interested, or we're mean. And all of these things are the farthest and the furthest, that even a word, from the truth. So it's important that we are speaking to our coworkers. It provides friendliness. It lets our coworkers know that we are friendly and also that we are consistent in our friendly behavior. So that was your homework assignment for this week to speak to all your coworkers. And if you work from home, I said that you can kind of get a heads up on the assignment for next week is to speak to a cashier, is to initiate some type of greeting or conversation to a cashier, a service worker. Okay, so these things are helpful for us to improve on our social skills because as introverts, we have a hard time with making those connections in a very small way. Okay, so yes. All right, so that's the homework assignment for tonight. Tonight, we're going to talk about dating as an introvert. How do you date when you're a quiet person? How do you date if you're a highly sensitive person? Okay. How do you date when you are very quiet? How do you date when you're highly sensitive? What is an introvert? An introvert is a person who finds solitude joyful, being within. They find that to be the most fun thing possible. That's what we find fun. As an introvert myself, that's what we find fun. We find joy in being alone. Okay? However, in our society, being alone is something that is not accepted. It's seen as weird. It's seen as awkward. It's seen as antisocial. So, follow me on YouTube. I provide strategies and techniques on how to navigate as a quiet person. Okay? So, now we're going to talk about how to date as a quiet person. When you are an introvert, when you are quiet, how do you date? So, first of all, this advice is going to be more so for quiet women. Now, men, quiet men, if you are a quiet, introverted man, you may need to get advice from other men because they'll be able to give you some strategies and techniques on how to approach and talk to women. I'm more so tonight talking to quiet women, okay? So let's be clear. Number one, men are not attracted to quiet women. Men do not like quiet women like us. They won't tell you this, but I'm telling you this. Men do not like quiet women. Men like women that are more loud, vivacious, and confident. If you are awkward, if you come off like you're too bougie, if you come off like you're standoffish, men are not attracted to that. I am a quiet person, and my natural quiet personality is seen as unattractive. Men don't like that because men feel like it takes too much time to try to get to know me, to try to draw out what I'm looking for. Okay? So, how do you date as a quiet person? Number one, you have to have high self-esteem. Okay? If you have low self-esteem, you should not be dating. You need to do a little bit more work. There's some things that you need to do. You don't need to be dating right now. If you have low self-esteem, if you're not really sure about yourself, you don't need to be dating right now. So let's start there. You don't need to be dating. If you were to rate yourself from 1 to 10 and you don't call yourself a 10, if you call yourself a 5, you don't need to be dating. Beauty and what people find attractive is subjective. Okay? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. In my hometown, men would probably rate me a 9. But if I were to go to Los Angeles or Miami, I'm a 3. You get what I'm saying here? You get what I'm putting down? Okay. Are you picking up what I'm putting down, right? So I'm not everyone's cup of tea, and everybody's not my cup of coffee, right? But when it comes to how I feel about me, you always say you're a 10, and don't doubt it, and don't second guess it. What are you? A 10. That's it. All right? If you don't rate yourself as a 10, then you don't need to be dating. You're not ready yet. There's some things you still have to process, and that's okay. All right? So, what did I say? I said high self-esteem. You have to think highly of yourself, because when you're a quiet woman, you are seen as a target for narcissists. They see you as a person to take advantage when you're quiet, because they see it as a weakness and they think that they can get over on you when you're quiet. But if you have that confidence and high self-esteem, then you'll be able to avoid narcissists from a mile away. Okay? All right. But that comes with practice, positive affirmations. Okay? Those are the things that you have to constantly work on. All right? It doesn't happen overnight, but also you have to practice it. So tonight, or wherever you are, go in the mirror and I want you to say, I love myself. I'm beautiful. I'm intelligent. I'm wonderful. I'm happy. It's going to feel icky and weird, but do it anyway. You cannot wait for others to affirm you. It's not going to happen. I could spend a whole month and no one's going to give me a compliment. I could spend a whole month and no one's going to say anything to me. But I have to affirm myself. I have to believe that I am worthy and that my existence is important. I have to affirm myself. That's where it comes with positive affirmations. Okay? You can't wait for someone to like you. You gotta like you. And by you liking yourself, it comes out. Okay? It's not arrogance. It's just high self-esteem and confidence. And for quiet personalities, oftentimes it's hard for people to get that from us because we hold a lot within. Okay? So, if you have confidence, if you have high self-esteem, when it comes to dating, you have to check your body language. Body language is key. As introverts, we give off body language that it looks like we're not interested, or that we're so stuck up, or that we're mean, or that we're weird. Okay? So your body language should be relaxed, confident, pleasant, Work on your eyes. Not like this. Just chilled out. We're chill anyway. But being an introvert, sometimes we come off as tense. Do not come off as tense. Relax your shoulders. If you're going on a date with someone, it's not that serious. You're there to have a good time. Okay? Body language. You want your body language to give off that you're happy to be here on this date. You want to get to know this person. Okay? You're having a great time. Relax. Then you have to work on small talk, your conversation skills. This is tricky. Because we're introverted, we don't share a lot, but you have to give more than one word conversations. If someone is, so pretend we're on a date and you ask me a question, you say, "What do you like to do for fun?" And I just say, "Go to the movies." No, no. You have to have more to say. So how do you do that? By practicing. So pretend, go in the mirror and pretend you're out on a date. You can do this. You can do this. Okay? If not, it's going to come off as weird. It's going to come off as you think you're better than everybody. Okay? So you have to practice that. Relax. So if someone were to ask me, "What do you like to do for fun?" I'm going to say, "Oh, I love to go shopping. I love to go to the movies. I love nature. I love animals." I'm going to go on and on and on. Okay? And my body language is going to give that I'm relaxed. I'm having a good time. Okay? Eyes, alluring. I'm drawing you in. Okay? Without compromising who I am. I'm still an introvert, but you don't need to know that. You don't need to know that. And I used to mess this up all the time, right? I used to go out on a date and tell the guys that I was an introvert and I'm quiet. That's a turn off. It's not a turn on. They don't need to know you're this quiet person. Just chill. They don't need to know all that. My phone's about to die. Hold on, everyone. Okay? So I don't want you getting caught up in explaining, "I'm this quiet person," and nobody cares. They'll know that over time. So chill out. They don't need to know that you're an introvert. They'll figure it out. Okay? So practice your small talk. So you go in the mirror tonight and practice these different conversation skills. Introverts in American society, in the United States, we are a rare personality. We are not the norm. The norm is this: people talk, and overshare. So women have the tendency to get extremely comfortable on a first date and overshare. Okay, stop oversharing. You don't have to overshare, but you got to say something. You got to say something, okay? It's just a date and it's just a human. So enjoy, okay? Also, do not rely on alcohol, okay? We're not relying on alcohol to get us through the date or to get us through dating period, because we know that for alcohol, for wine and spirits, we know that once we get that in our system, that we're going to talk. Okay? We're going to loosen up. We don't need that. We are already confident, happy, good to be here. Okay? We don't need that. That is just an added bonus. I have been on plenty of dates where I didn't drink alcohol. It's possible. I've done it. I've done it. You don't need it. You don't need it. And you know what's so interesting is that I'll go out with someone and they'll say, you know what, you would make a great hostess or a bartender. And I'm like, that's interesting because that doesn't match my personality at all. You see? Okay. So that's what I want you to work on. If you want to date, you're able to find your person. You are. But you got to work on your body language. Introverts come off like this too. We got the resting bitch face. Okay. So that's telling, what that is telling someone is that you're uninterested or that you're angry about something. It's not attracting. It's not getting what you want. Okay. So you have to work on that. It takes practice. I was the same way. And I couldn't understand why I would meet people for the first time and they wouldn't like me. And I'm like, well, what am I doing? I'm not even talking. And they wouldn't like me because of the body language that I was giving off. I was giving off that I'm bougie, that I'm mean, that I'm arrogant. And that is so far from the truth. I'm the most nicest person that you could ever meet. Sometimes. But that's what I was giving off. Okay. Also, when you're out on a date, put the phone down. If you feel anxious, right? Because you're an introvert, right? So your conversation skills are in here. In your head, you sound amazing, articulate, wonderful, pleasant. But when you go to speak, sometimes it comes out. Okay? It's okay. You stutter. It's okay. Keep the flow going. You got this. Do not be on your phone. Can you imagine? I'm on a date and you're telling me about something like this. Yeah, okay. That is rude and disrespectful. But sometimes we do it because we're fidgety, we're anxious, we're not sure. You don't want to do that. Do not rely on your phone. So we're not going to rely on the phone, and we're not going to rely on an adult beverage to get us through. No, we're going to enjoy the interaction. We're going to enjoy the date. Yes, phone time is for bathroom breaks. Absolutely. So we have to work on our hand placements because it's not that we're trying to be extroverted. I would never suggest that you try to be extroverted because if you try to be extroverted, it's going to come off it's going to come off awkward. People can see right through that. So just be yourself, but again, relax. It's just another human. You're having that interaction. Okay, it's not that serious. Again, I can't stress it enough. Men do not like quiet women. They lie. Okay, they lie. They like women that talk a lot, that are confident, bold, okay, have something to say, engaging, laughing, smiling. Okay, so smile. All right, smile. Because as introverts, we're overthinking. We're in our head. We're overanalyzing too much. You have to shut it down. Shut it down just for the date. And then you can go back to overthinking when you get home. Okay? But smile, laugh, enjoy the experience. Okay? Again, it's just a human. It's not that deep. Okay. Also, the worry is that you're going to embarrass yourself. Don't overly concern yourself about feeling embarrassed. Okay, um yeah, don't overly worry about that. Now, again, for men, I really cannot help you, but I will give you this advice. Even if you don't have a lot of money, even if you don't have a high status in society, if you are a quiet man, if you are an introverted man, you have to have confidence. The brokest or the most ugliest man in the world can get ahead because he's confident. Women like confidence. They enjoy that. Okay? That turns them on, not off. So, for men, we're socialized for men to make the first move, right? Men have to make the first move. That's how we're so that's the I didn't make the rules. I live within the patriarchy like everybody else. So for men, you have to be confident. If you're an introverted man, it's going to be a bit of a challenge. It's going to be a bit of a challenge. It really is. Because women will bypass you, and all the confident men, they get all the women. They do. Okay? They really, really do. All right? Oh, thank you. So, I want you to navigate in the world feeling confident. Again, if someone rates you, they say, oh, you're a 1 to 10. Always say you're a 10. Okay? Work on your body language. Work on your hand placement. Listen, I'm a woman of a certain age. So therefore, I've been on a lot of dates. I have been able to navigate this. I even tap my date. I'll even touch their hand. I'll touch their shoulder when we're out on a date. I never would have done that when I was younger. When I was younger, I never would have done that. They love that kind of stuff when you're out on a date with someone, touching their hand while they're talking and looking into their eyes and really engaging. They love that kind of stuff. As introverts, we don't usually do that because we're all about personal space. Okay, so introverts find joy with solitude. We prefer to work with ourselves or work independently. It's not a mental disorder. Okay? It's not a mental disorder. So stop saying that you're antisocial. Okay? Because antisocial is a mental disorder. It's along the lines of you lack empathy for others. It's also along the lines of that you're kind of like a psychopath. So a lot of times we're saying we're antisocial, but my background is in psychology, and so when I hear someone say that they're antisocial, I'm giving them the side eye. I'm like, wait a minute, you are? No, 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 no. No, no, no. An introvert is just a personality. Being antisocial is a little bit deeper than that. There may be some things going on. And also, being an introvert is not necessarily being shy. That's totally different. Okay. But they often are fused together. Another type of personality that is fused together. Where are my empaths? People that have this highly sensitive personality. Yes, yes, yes. I am a highly sensitive introvert. Absolutely. Yes, I am. Okay. So also with that, there's different layers to that. Um, Oftentimes when you're highly sensitive, that you're too much you're too empathetic to a point where it impacts your behaviors, or it impacts your mood. Okay, because you take on someone else's energy, emotion, experiences too much. We all can take it on. For example, if someone were to tell me a story about they just lost their dog, I'm going to feel empathetic. I'm going to provide a level of care and empathy. Okay. But I'm going to go home. I might not think about it anymore, or maybe I might, but it's not going to really impact my day to day, interactions. But people that are empaths, if they hear that, they might break down and cry. It's I mean, it just takes on everything. It's too much. So people that have a highly sensitive personality, they have to be very mindful of their career choices. They have to be mindful of their career choices. You know, they have to be mindful. I wouldn't suggest someone with a highly sensitive personality be maybe a therapist. I don't know. I mean, because in some ways they can, but in many ways, when you do therapy, which I've done in different sectors, you're hearing things that are just, and you have to be able to separate and not take that on. And you can't show it on your face either. You have people sharing the most intimate and awful experiences that they have had, and you can't show any type of emotion in a way. You have to stay professional. So those are the things. So it's very possible to be highly sensitive and to be an introvert. Now, what I've done with I'm still very much so highly sensitive, but what has helped me is my confidence. Okay. So now I can take on certain things and not allow it to worry me or internalize it too much. I've learned to just cut it off and just move on. Okay. And when you're on social media, you often hear a lot. You're gonna hear a lot of things, and you have to be able to have tough skin. But I live in but the town that I live in, this is a tough town. So yeah, you just take it on the chin. It is what it is. So again, let's get back to dating. Dating as a quiet person. You know what's so funny is that two quiet people usually don't date each other. Because how are we going to find each other? You're quiet and I'm quiet. How are we going to make that connection? So usually two quiet people aren't together. Isn't that interesting? Or usually two quiet people aren't attracted to each other, which is even more interesting. We're usually a lot of times interested in the opposite of us, because we look to our partner to take on that more bold, extroverted role that we don't have naturally in a way. So so for the most part, all the men that I've ever dated were not quiet, were not shy, were not withdrawn, were not highly sensitive. They were what you would consider regular, everyday social guys, you know. But I did the worst guy that I ever was with was this lawyer. And I'm sorry, I don't know what it is about attorneys and stuff like that, but like they can be like assholes, right? They can just be assholes because I think that's the nature of the job. That's the nature of what they have to do. They have to always be, on point assholes to get the job done. But he was like the worst guy because The way he treated service workers was totally, he felt like he was above them. And that's why we had to break up, because I'm not going to date someone who thinks that he's better than a cashier or a janitor, or someone that thinks that they shouldn't leave a tip or whatever. And that's the kind of person that he was. You know, I mean, he wasn't all that good looking, but he was very educated, very well spoken, went to a top school in the Washington, D.C. area, all the accolades in the world. But the way he treated service workers, I didn't like that. And those are the things that matter. How do you treat people? That's important. Okay. That goes with your value system. All right. So it doesn't matter what your status is in society. How do you treat people? You know, that matters. So he was just like a huge asshole, whatever. You know. And another thing with him was just like he was even an asshole at church. We go to church and I'm like, at church, really? You can't just pretend to be a good guy, have integrity at church? Okay, you gotta go. You gotta go. You gotta go. So, what else? So, dating as a quiet person, body language, work on your small talk, work on just being engaged in the interaction. You have to work on that. You can't assume that the person believes that you're having a good time. As introverts, we could be having a good time at a party, and sometimes you would never know because of the look on our face, because we're kind of like in the back and things like that. So I have a story on my channel. Please follow me, you all on YouTube. Please follow me here, the Introvert Conversation. Please follow me. I'd appreciate that so much if you would give me a follow. I have a story on here where I almost got jumped. Yes, I went to a house party and I almost got jumped by the hostess and her friends because, as an introvert, the type of body language and how I was presenting was pretty rude. They thought that I was like really stuck up, that I didn't want to be there. It was a mess. And then there was like alcohol involved. So, you know, everyone's emotions are like all over the place. And I talk about it in my YouTube videos. I have a story time, but yeah, just me being a quiet personality almost got me beat up. Okay. So with that, you also have to have a sense of emotional intelligence. You have to be able to read the room. You have emotional intelligence, that is gold. Gold. You're able to go far in life. If you're able, just the ability to be able to read the room, you can go far in life. And you can do this being quiet. I mean, you're an expert at it because when we're quiet, because we're quiet personalities, we have a level of observation. We're always observing and scanning and noticing things that no one else can notice. We're very intuitive. That's why when my sisters, when they have like a new boyfriend, or when they have like a friend, I'm able to read people's personalities in a way. I can kind of tell if you're kind of a good or decent person within like 30 seconds to a minute. I can tell. And usually I'm always right. I'll say to my sister, that girl, that girl, yeah. And I'm usually always right. Yes, you can guess where I'm from. I have an accent. Yes, you can tell I'm from the East Coast. You could tell I'm from the Northeast because I have an accent. But can you tell what kind of accent I have? Because I'm one of the, it's not rare, but I'm one of the few people where I have a state accent as opposed to like a city or a particular region. I have the entire state's accent. I have the entire state's accent. I'm like, yeah, I'm close. I'm close to that particular city. But yeah, I have the entire state's accent. And it comes out with particular words that I use. So yes, back to dating as a quiet person, more so for women. Body language, don't share too much. Enjoy. Don't rely on alcohol. You're going to feel awkward and weird, but don't worry about that. Just go on with the date, have a good time, enjoy yourself. Also, provide more than one word when you are asked a question. Okay. I'm in DC right now, but that's not where I'm from. I don't have a DC accent. You can tell that. I'm close to DC, but I don't have a DC accent. Um, so yeah, it's just that's enough lip gloss. You can never have enough lip gloss, baby. But remember, it's just another human. Okay? That's it. You're going to feel nervous a little bit, but most likely the man has asked you. As an introverted quiet woman, we probably didn't initiate a date. We probably didn't. So in other words, the pressure, it's not on you, it's on them. They should feel away, intimidated by you. Okay? So, also with that, when it comes to dating, again, we're quiet, so we're gonna build up some things that we share. We're not gonna share everything in the first date. We're not gonna talk about politics. We're not gonna get into some issues like gun control or how do you feel about abortion. Not on the first date. My goodness, relax. Let it flow. Talk about the weather. Talk about where you want to travel. Talk about your favorite foods. Talk about your hobbies. Over time, you'll get a sense of, more serious things because they eventually have to be talked about, right? But not on the first date. My goodness. Not on the first date. I don't need to know all of those things right now. I'm trying to get to know you. Okay? And don't talk about your career too much. See, we lead by our career. And I dread this because my family reunion is coming up. My family reunion is coming up. So I'm going to see family that I haven't seen in years, or I'm going to see family that I never met before. So what is the first question they're going to ask me, right? They're going to say, "So what are you doing? What kind of job do you have?" I don't want to answer that. Who cares? Who freaking cares? Because my job doesn't define me. Who cares what job I have? Right? I don't want to talk about that. It is boring to talk about my career goals at a family reunion. Nobody cares, but they care. They're gonna care. And because I'm a quiet introverted personality, I don't brag a lot. I don't brag a lot. I have a lot of accomplishments, accolades, but I don't brag a lot. I don't. So I gotta get ready for that. I gotta get ready for that. So yeah, when you're out, your first date, you're just sharing some fun stories. Have some stories ready, okay? So that way you don't have a lot of awkward silence because it's coming. The awkward silence is coming. So have some stories ready. For example, I make it very clear, I'm not a good cook. Cooking, my family is from the South. Cooking is not my thing. I think that cooking, I'm going to put it out there. Being a good cook, I think it's a gift. I think it's something that you're born with the ability to be a good cook. Now, I can cook for survival, absolutely. But being able to make a meal and everyone love it and savor and enjoy and devour it, I'm not good at that. That's not my thing, right? So one year, I decided that I was going to host Thanksgiving, right? I'll host Thanksgiving this one year. I was so excited. And everyone knows I'm not a good cook, but they allowed me to cook the mashed potatoes. Yay! Right? Mashed potatoes. So how can you mess up mashed potatoes? I did that. So when I cook, I look at the directions. So I look at line for line. I'll go, okay, so you need 1 cup of this and a half a cup of that. I didn't want to do the instant mashed potatoes. I said, I'm going to make these from scratch. I got this. So I found a recipe and it had like sour cream cheese, all of this for my mashed potatoes, right? So somehow I ended up like peeling the mashed potatoes, and then I was in a rush. Okay, I'll admit. Okay, I was in a rush. So I finished everything in the microwave. So I put all the ingredients and the potatoes in the microwave and I just stirred them up. I don't know. All right. I said they'll like them. I didn't add any seasoning. I just said they'll like them. I'm in a rush. Whatever. We got to get this dinner together. The end of the night, Thanksgiving went wonderful. I was a great host. I can do that. And I told my family, I said, take all you need. Don't leave any food here. It's just me. When I went to open that refrigerator, all of the food was gone except my mashed potatoes. Nobody ate them. So those are the things that you can share on a date, okay? But especially a first date, because you're keeping it light, you're keeping it fun. So I can't even make mashed potatoes. My family didn't want to eat them, okay? So those are the things that you can share, all right? But don't share too much. Now, here's a story that you shouldn't share on a first date. That you shouldn't share. I'm going to tell you a story that you shouldn't share. There was this basketball player. He played for the Los Angeles Lakers. And I thought he was very attractive. And, you know, you don't really, it's not really a crush because I never met this person, they're just online, you see them on Instagram, you see them on TV, right? So come to find out, he was going to be in my city and he was doing like a back to school drive, right? So I took my thirsty ass. I took my niece and I said, we're gonna get a free backpack, right? And she was just like, no, I don't want to go. Whatever. I don't need a backpack. She didn't need a backpack. But I wanted to meet this basketball player. This is when I was younger. I wanted to meet him so bad because he was cute and he was in my city. And I said, this is my chance to meet him. Because you know how it is. When you go to like a celebrity event or like any type of charity, like security's pretty lax. You don't really have to worry about it's just giving back to the community. So you can go up to the basketball player, you can take pictures, you can do all types of things that you really can't do if it were like a club or something like that, right? So I wait in line. It's a line to like take pictures and things like that. So I wait in line and I had a piece of paper and he's at the table, he's signing things. I didn't have anything for him to sign. And I had the piece of paper and I had it like balled up. And I just gave it to him at the table. I reached my hand out and I just gave it to him. And I turned around, you take the picture, take the picture. And it was my phone number was in the piece of paper. And he actually called me. He actually called me. So that is not a story that you share on a first date. You don't share that story on a first date because it's like, what? Like I wouldn't do that now. I'm too old to do stuff like that now. But when I was younger, I was more, you could get away with stuff like that. I can't do that now. But he actually did call me and he actually did invite me to where he was staying, but I didn't go because I was scared. I did, and then I never. Then I did hear from him one more time after that when he actually left, my city. But then I didn't hear from him ever again. But I was scared because it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and he's like, "This is the hotel that I'm at." I'm just like, "What?" Because I didn't think he was actually going to call me. I didn't think that. But, those are things that you don't share on a first date. So what tends to happen is that some women would share that on a first date. And that's an example of oversharing. They should not know that sometimes you're thirsty and that sometimes, you might have had a whole phase or whatever. Those are things you don't want to share on a first date. No, no, but that's a funny story. No, that's not me. I would love to know about that. I have a lot of stories that I could share like that. No, but that's a funny story, but that's not me. But I will say this, that I'm just going to put it out there. You didn't hear it from me, but that is a way if you are interested in like certain celebrities, stuff like that, they're always doing like a celebrity basketball game or whatever, whatever, whatever. Because it's giving back to the community, a lot of times, in show, you're able to be up close and personal with the celebrity without security or anything kind of like, jumping in your face because because the celebrity, the intent is that the celebrity is to interact with you, is to show that they are a part of the community. So it's not going to be weird to go up to them and ask for a picture and things like that. It's not going to be weird. And then a lot of times with celebrity events, they have, they have the police department there, the fire department, things like that. So you're good. But that's a tip if you ever want to, be thirsty like I was. But it worked though. It did actually work. I have a lot of stories like that. No, I am not a psychologist. However, I do have a degree in gerontology and sociology. I have a couple of degrees, but I am not a psychologist. No, no. That's very prestigious. I wish. I wish. Okay. So, again, those are some things that you probably wouldn't share on a first date. Matter of fact, if you really like the guy, you probably wouldn't share that story at all. You probably wouldn't share that story at all. Just keep it to what I talked about, talking about the mashed potatoes. What are other things you can discuss on a first date? Um, Places that you like to eat, places that you want to visit one day, places that you travel to. Again, you're keeping it light and fun. You're not going into a lot of crazy detail. You're not going to complain about politics. You're not going to talk about um, like trauma. No, 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 no. Relax. Just enjoy the date. Have a good time. That's all it's about. Okay. And again, watch your body language. Your body language shows that you're interested, that you're engaged. Again, I've gotten so good with body language that I even touch the person on the date. I touch their hand. And I touched their shoulder while they're talking to me. And I look into their eyes and I'm like, that's all not me. That's all not me. The introverted me does not do that. I don't touch people. Like, what? I don't want people touching me, but on a date, that shows that you're interested. Oh, you said you overspill. Yeah, yeah. You know what it is? A lot of times, sometimes it's the alcohol. Sometimes it's the alcohol. I know for me, if I because I'm an introvert, I'm a quiet personality, but you get some alcohol in me, I'm gonna tell it all. So I have to be mindful. What I do, either I don't order a drink or I get like I get wine or a glass of wine or yeah, usually a glass of wine because anything stronger than that, then I'm talking too much. Then I'm going to say too much. Then I'm going to tell the story about the basketball player. What other stories should we not share on a first date? We don't want to talk about a lot of our dislikes. It's all about what we like because we're just trying to get the person to get to know us. I mean, you can share things you don't like, but if you start off sharing about what you don't like, then the date can turn negative quickly. It changes the energy. You want the energy to be light and fun. Okay. So you don't want to change the energy of the date. Okay. It's all about keeping it fun. And again, if you feel awkward, it's okay. It's okay to feel awkward and weird on a date, but continue the date. You said don't, oh yeah, don't bring up your ex. Like I just talked about the lawyer that I was dating. Like that was like my longest relationship and I wouldn't bring him up. First of all, he got disbarred. He was just a terrible person. He got disbarred. Like he was always trying to tell me how to dress, how to wear my hair. I think he was embarrassed of me sometimes because I didn't have like a career like he had. You know what I mean? Like he was used to dating other lawyers or he was used to dating women that were like CEOs. and I didn't have that particular career path. So I think he was like embarrassed to tell people what I did for a living. So what he would do, like someone mentioned, are you a psychologist? He would tell people that I was a psychologist, but I'm not a psychologist. But he was just like, so yeah, so you don't date people like that. You don't date people that feel like they're ashamed of you, or that they're like, they feel like you're not on their level. But yeah, that's how he would treat me. Like, so I know from experience. Yeah, he would just like really treat me like, like I wasn't good enough, because he was used to dating women that had more of a higher status. So he would try to dress me. And I'm so serious about this. Like I would wear something, and he would just call everything trashy. That's trashy. Everything's trashy. So he had to make sure that everything had to be everything had to be like to the T, like very proper, like you're not really showing skin. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it was just too much. Trying to be like controlling. He was trying to be like controlling. He didn't like the way I would speak. He was just, you know who he acted like? He was a mix between, Carlton from the original like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That's how he acted. Like that was his whole thing. Like that's how he acted. Like Carlton from the original Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. That was him. He was like Carlton, but like times 10. So he was very much like, too much. So yeah, so you don't want to, so again, you don't, so I would never bring that up. So on a first date, I would never bring that up. I would never bring him up on a first date. No, 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 no. You don't want people to know how people used to treat you, because if you will let people know how people used to treat you, then they're going to treat you like that too. They're gonna be like, oh, did Carlton have money at least? Yeah, he was a lawyer. Yeah, they have money. They have businesses. If a straight man tries to dress you, yeah, yeah, exactly. Like everything had to be like from Macy's, but it had to be like a certain section from Macy's. Like, like, like everything had to be either from Macy's or Nordstrom, but it had to be very like conservative at all times. Even he was so controlling to the point, even our workout gear had to match. Like, say we were going to go work out or go to like the gym, we have to have like matching workout gear. Like he had the man version and I had like the woman version. And even our sneakers had to match. Like if he's wearing Nike, I gotta wear Nike. And at first I thought it was cute, because I was like, oh, I got a brand new wardrobe, right? So I had like a brand new wardrobe. I had a section. He had like a walk-in closet, and I had a section of all my, my that he had good taste, right? Shoes, everything. And I thought it was cute at first, but then after a while, it's just like, wow, you're really trying to change me into something that I don't want to be, that I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with. So yeah, you gotta be careful of that kind of stuff. Like at first it's cute, but yeah, I mean like Carlton to a T. Like everything had to everything had to go to the dry cleaners. Like it was too much. It was too much, too much, too. And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to give the impression that I don't like nice guys, that I don't like guys that are educated. I don't want to give off that impression. But I do want to just talk about how if it comes to a point where you feel like I'm embarrassing you and what I do for a living isn't good enough, then we shouldn't be together. And that's how we kind of broke apart. But that's how he was. I remember we went to church and he didn't like the dress that I wore to church. Like, who cares? So he was so upset that he didn't walk in with me, like the entrance to the church. Like, he was so upset. So he let me go in first. And then he waited. He was pouting because he didn't like what I was wearing to church. And then he went and he acted like he couldn't find where I was sitting. He didn't even want to sit with me. He was that weird. No, I mean he had his own money, but like I said, he was generous in terms of, you know, this is the money that I'll spend for you to look to for you to play the part, play that role. So I'll spare no expense because I want you to have this particular dress and these particular shoes. But ah, oh my goodness. Yes. Oh my goodness. That's a blast from the past. Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes, yes. And then come to find out the church that we were going to, the church is kind of like a mega church in the area, but it comes to find out, because I didn't think he was that religious, but I said I'll go along with him. But come to find out, that was the church that his ex had went to. So all this time we were going to this church, and that was the church that his ex-girlfriend, she was there, and I never knew who she was. And then one day he kind of we got into an argument about something, and then he said, yeah, my ex-girlfriend, she's always there every week. And I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. So that's why he was so concerned about that one time. I wore something that I wanted to wear for a change to church because he was trying to make his ex-girlfriend jealous. I was used as a pawn. Tis, tis, tis. Terrible, terrible, terrible. So, so I dealt with it for like 2 years off and on. And then I find we would break up a lot because, it was always something. But after a while, I just couldn't take it anymore. And then he had a best friend. His best friend was a woman. And she was a stuck up bougie bitch. So she hated me. And I always found it to be weird when a man has a woman best friend. I always find that to be kind of weird, but I let it go because I was younger at the time and I really didn't know or understand, you know. But now that I'm older, I can recognize a lot of the red flags. But he had a woman best friend, and I remember a couple of times I would look at them and I'm like, I wonder if they used to date because there's just no way. There's just no way. And he couldn't wait to tell me. And I said, well, what did your friend think about me? And he was like, oh, she doesn't like you. He couldn't wait to tell me that. She doesn't like you. Like, why? Like, yeah, I couldn't believe it. So I was like, I think they used to date and they probably just you know, decided to remain friends. So yeah, what you really need, put your heart into it. So now I just date for fun. I don't really get too into too much. He needs you, not her. Well, he can have her or whoever he's with. But no, he does have a new girlfriend. God bless her. So I did kind of I had him blocked. But the only social I have him blocked on okay. Okay, before I go, I might as well get into this. Okay. So he said that the reason why I broke up with him is because I'm a gold digging hoe. That was his words. That I was a gold digging hoe and that I didn't think that he had enough money. No, that wasn't it. That was not it. He sent me a text and he said, "You're a gold digging hoe." And it sounds dumb. Like I said, like you have a Carlton. Like you don't even like you sound stupid and corny even text somebody that. What had happened is that he got disbarred, right? He no longer could practice law, but you're still a lawyer. So he got into real estate. So he was very successful with real estate. Okay. The thing was that I required that a man still have a job, even though you have real estate as your like, it's to me, I felt like it was more like residual income. Okay. He had a good paying job and he quit because he wanted to start his own real estate thing. And I didn't think that was stable. I was like, I don't think that you should just quit altogether to start your own business. I think you should just give it time. And so that's why we broke up. And we should have been had broken up. But one of his good friends, I saw one of his good friends at a bar or something. And his good friend told him that he saw me. And that's why he texted me that you're a gold digging hoe. And that the reason he told his friend the reason why we broke up was because I felt like he didn't make enough money. And that wasn't the case. And then he said, and if you want to fuck my friend, you know, you can, you're more than welcome. And I was just like, what? I'm like, Carlton. That's what I wanted to call Carlton. Relax, Carlton. And you know, he also acted like, you know, who's familiar with the Jamie Foxx show? He acted like Braxton from Jamie Foxx show. That's old. That's like old school, but that's how he acted too, right? So, anyways, I'm gonna get off of here because I could go on and on about this relationship. But I learned a lot. So again, as a quiet person, a lot of these things you don't want to share with a person on a first date. Sometimes you need a diary. Get a diary. Have someone else to talk to about this kind of stuff because it's just too much. So I'm going to enjoy my lovely Long Island iced tea in here. Please have a wonderful and safe night. Please follow me on here. And I'm also on TikTok, the Introvert Conversation. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Have a great night. And thank you so much for the likes and the hearts and the beautiful and the wonderful compliments. I see y'all. Thank you so much. Good night.